A series of explosions in Lebanon has resulted in at least 14 deaths and over 400 injuries, marking a second wave of incidents involving communication devices. The explosions are linked to pagers used by Hezbollah members, which were intended to evade Israeli surveillance, leading to at least 12 fatalities in a prior incident. Hezbollah blames Israel for the explosions and vows retaliation, highlighting the ongoing tensions in the region. The blasts occurred during a funeral for 3 Hezbollah members and a child who died from the previous day's pager explosions, with walkie-talkies also reported to have exploded in Beirut and Sidon. Investigations reveal that the pagers, marked with a Taiwanese company's logo, may not have been manufactured by them, raising questions about the supply chain and the origins of the devices involved in the explosions.
And for more on this, I'm joined by Melinda Haas. She's an assistant professor of international affairs at the University of Pittsburgh Graduate School in public and international affairs. Good to have you with us, Melinda. An unprecedented attack, and now we're hearing of potential new explosions. I wonder, how can an attack of this precision and scale be organised?
Again, I think the assumption that this is a state-sponsored operation probably must be correct, given both the geographic extent, the technical sophistication, and just the orchestration of the explosions themselves, much less the sort of on-the-ground intelligence required to infiltrate multiple types of devices that Hezbollah agents are using.
Does it surprise you that someone has been able to orchestrate and complete this task?
It doesn't surprise me. I think it is sort of unprecedented in its scale, and especially now that it's extending to multiple types of devices. But I think the orchestration is meant to send a message that that the sponsor, probably Israel here, is able to sort of reach into Hezbollah's organization, no matter what types of low-tech devices are being used, and get to those people even on the ground.
Melinda, do we know any detail of just how much Hezbollah relied on this form of communication in their day-to-day running?
Right. There has been a shift from more sophisticated cell phone technology that was more susceptible to Israel's SIGINT capabilities to these sort of lower tech devices, walkie-talkies, pagers, in order to try to circumvent that intelligence. But this goes to show that there are important trade-offs between low-tech and high-tech devices, and that even low-tech are not unsusceptible to being infiltrated.
If it is confirmed that Israel is behind the attack, does this constitute a violation of international law, do you think?
I think that Israel would try to make the argument that by targeting these specific shipments of pagers and potentially walkie-talkies, that they were attempting to target only military combatants, right? Only Hezbollah members. But I think there is an argument to be made that this is potentially an indiscriminate attack, right? At the time of the explosions, it's unclear who had possession of the pagers or the walkie-talkies. Where were those individuals? Were civilians at risk? I mean, clearly they were, based on the results. And due to that sort of indiscriminate targeting and potential civilian targeting, that would be where the international law concerns come in.
And when you say indiscriminate, do you also get that sense that it's almost opportunistic, that they saw an opening to take out an attack like this?
Right, especially sort of the timing of this operation, the timing, the extensive timing needed to prepare for such an operation. And then when the charges themselves went off, I think it's important to consider the why of that. Why now? And potentially that was due to an opportunistic or the potential to sort of lose the opportunity. So they took advantage of it now.
Hezbollah claims Israel is behind the attack. It has apparently already carried out the first cross-border retaliation. What do you think could be or will be the international consequences of this act?
I think, as many are concerned, of course, for the potential for regional escalation here, I think that this is a continuation of the back and forth between Hezbollah and Israel that's been occurring since October 7th and, of course, before. I think that Israel is very carefully using these types of covert operations, both on sort of ground level Hezbollah members, as well as covert operations against Hezbollah leaders, to slowly escalate and not escalate to sort of full uses of force, right? The moderate level of escalation provided by covert operations could prevent further regional escalation to include Iran or other potential regional implications.
Right. And to the US, before we go, US has always stood firmly behind Israel. If it's confirmed that Israel is behind the attacks, what could this mean for US foreign policy?
Of course, the US has really been pushing a diplomatic solution to these conflicts with Gaza and with Hezbollah. The US is not interested in a regional conflict and embroiling Iran or sort of more traditional uses of force. I think that we will likely see strong words by the US, but I'm not sure ultimately it will affect the US's aid to Israel in a meaningful way.
Melinda Haas, it's been fantastic to get your insight. Thanks so much for your time on DW News.
Thank you.
The explosions of Hezbollah's communication devices, such as pagers and walkie-talkies, are the result of a complex intelligence operation, likely carried out by Israel. This operation required infiltration into the supply chain or distribution of the devices, from manufacturing to the point they reached Hezbollah. Israel likely seized the opportunity to penetrate Hezbollah's supply chain and insert explosives into the devices. This was a well-calculated move, demonstrating advanced technological and intelligence capabilities, typically associated with powerful state actors like Israel. Hezbollah had switched to using pagers and walkie-talkies to avoid Israeli surveillance, but ironically, these devices became the medium through which Israel launched its attack. This has created panic and distrust within Hezbollah, undermining their confidence in the security of their communication systems. The operation was not only intended to disrupt Hezbollah's communications but also served as a deterrent message, warning of more severe consequences if Hezbollah continues its provocations. Ultimately, this operation is part of a broader diplomatic and military strategy aimed at neutralizing threats from Hezbollah while avoiding a full-scale war. It reflects Israel's intent to de-escalate the situation through targeted actions, rather than allowing the conflict to spiral into a larger confrontation.